we are back. It is our second episode of Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged, where we go over some what went on at the shows, some shows that are coming up, some shows in the past 2 weeks. I happen to be lucky enough to be at a show with you in Chantilly, Virginia, 2 weekends ago. Let's start off right
there. That was a fun show.
Oh, what you think? So you thought it was fun. So tell me, I got to be comfortable in the back, sit on the couch, and the auctions.
Well, you had more fun than I did, but yeah, the Chick-fil-A fun, I see.
There was a lot. They had a lot. They know how to get right to me, right. Get on my good side. Just have an entire trough of chicken biscuits. It was a good time. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Chantilly is definitely one of the biggest autograph shows. I mean, they're always packed, big names, some guys that you don't even see. So one of them was Ovechkin, and that was fun. So I started recently getting like a couple of like big names each show to get signed, and I have a slight obsession with nicknames, obviously. And Ovechkin was there. He's a Fanatics guy, obviously, but his Fanatics rep was there. They were cordial, they were helpful, but I didn't know that when you ask them to sign an inscription, they limit you to whatever they want to sign,
Okay.
Yeah, but luckily I asked them if he could sign.
Otherwise, yes.
Yes. So I was like, oh man, I'm like, can I ask this? And the promoter's like, you could try, but we're not guaranteed. They usually don't do that, And I know Ovechkin was already 4 hours in by the time he met us. So he's literally like, I said hi. I know he's a nice guy, but he didn't even look, and he just wants to get out of there, I guess, But I told the guy from Fanatics, can he sign, he's called Alexander the Great. So GR8 is basically his nickname. He signed it without any hesitation, and I got my card signed.
There you go.
With his nickname.
I mean, that's a cool thing, right? You're going to these shows. Yeah. It's almost like I used to work where I was traveling a little bit. I tried to go to baseball games if I happen to be traveling in the city and the whole deal, and grab a hat. Like I'll buy a hat from the game, and it's a kind of cool thing. Grab an autograph. Why does Ovi not sign, or it's just it's in season, so he doesn't sign that much, or it's just he's somebody you don't.
He's just one of those players like Patrick Ewing that doesn't like to sign, But we don't know now that he's with Fanatics. We could see more signing, but he didn't look like he wanted to stay signing there. So it might be a rare event.
A lot of people, right? Crowded.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. A lot of people, yeah, for Ovi especially, yeah.
So we didn't get into this last time, but I think it makes a little bit of sense just for people doing this. If you can, 1 minute, 2 minute, people don't realize the behind the scenes. I mean, we can kind of get into it on from the show itself, but like for a business like yours to go to a show like that, it's a lift, right? I mean, you gotta pack up, or talk about like the couple days or the week before. What do you do for prep, and then getting down there and stuff like that? Because people just show up at the show like me, look at your table, and say, "Wow, look at these nice Jalen Hurts cards."
Yeah,
but there's a lot that goes into it, right?
Yeah, that's the tough part about having back to back shows, So I like to curate who's hot this week, price them out, and then who might be hot that weekend. It's, projecting. So that's what I specialize in. That's why, it's like, oh, when people come to my table, oh my God, you have all the hot cards. Yes, because I planned it, I don't just take my whole inventory and put it there. I planned what are the hot cards, what are the potential good trade pieces, and stuff like that. And this weekend, the show there was jammed. There's playoff going on. The Yankees was obviously still in, possibly. Remember?
No, look, it's Halloween. I got my costume on. It's my Mets shirt.
Yeah,
Pete Alonso. I'm Pete Alonso for Halloween today. I can't be a Yankee.
Yeah, and obviously football is in the middle of it, with your very controversial Hurts. I got some email about that and messages about, oh, you need to ask Cage about it, because they know we're doing this uncaged, so they're like, you guys should talk about that.
Listen, I am not backing off my stance, but we'll get to Hurts in a second. So, I mean, you got to pack up, right? I mean, obviously you spend time, you price it out. I mean, your table is very well done. You know what I mean? You got it. Obviously, it's you got football, you got modern, you got all kinds of fun stuff there. And
Everything that we could, yeah. So I had tried to have variety. So the part that I'm suffering a little because of so many shows is obviously the pricing. It's
yes,
just hard for me. It's hard for me to price every like 1,000 card at least I bring into a show, and I can't. There's no way for me to price them, especially with football. And last month's price in basketball is different from this week's price.
yep, yep.
So
I mean, do you price
it's
while you're
tough.
at the show a little bit? You got to do it, or
Yeah,
do you just
I mean,
generally go by feel?
it's hard to go by feel because they fluctuate so much. So the easy part are the cheap stuff. If I have a price already and I'm good with it, I'll sell it for that. And usually when the sticker is there, I'll respect it unless you walk away and don't buy it. Then I will have a chance to change it. But most of the time, within that show, I respect the sticker price that's there.
Does that happen often where somebody looks at a card, finds a sticker, and you're like, "Oh man, I should have changed that sticker,"
Um,
and then they pass on it? Because that would be funny.
Actually, yes, they pass on it.
I mean, that's
Yes,
pretty funny. Yeah, I could see
I
the
had
other
a
side of the
card
table. You're
that's
like, okay.
yeah. I had a card that's stickered like maybe 400 and it's 800 right now, and the guy's still passing it. I was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Okay, when you walk away, I'm telling you, you're giving me a chance to change the price." But it did happen once, and he came back during Comic Con, and I still sold it to him. I mean, it is what it is. It's okay. It
Listen,
makes
I
him
mean,
very, very happy, so it's good.
it's goodwill for you going forward. I mean, if the sticker's
Yeah.
there, that's the price. That's kind of what they say. But yeah, I mean, it's funny
Mhm.
people still walk away without buying them.
Yeah.
So when was the last weekend you didn't go to a show? What are you talking about? Like August, July? I mean, how long's it been?
It's been a
Many, many
while.
weeks.
Probably 2 months ago.
Wow. And this past
Yeah.
weekend, where'd you hit?
I hit Nashville this weekend. So this was actually not on my schedule, but I'm like, everybody's talking about it. Apparently 700 tables were sold,
Wow.
and all this stuff. I've never done this big or this much dealer in a show that's not the Nationals.
Okay,
So it
so
was a
talk to me
little.
about that. I mean, more dealer to dealer stuff. Was there no foot traffic, or it's just the dealers were more involved?
So it was a little scary. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the
Please.
promoter. He was great. It's not meant as a negative, but I think there was too much dealers.
Okay.
And when we go to our Chantilly and Philly show, there's
Mhm.
half vintage. There
Yes.
was not a lot of vintage. I know a customer that does vintage, and he flew in there just to find vintage, and he didn't find much vintage. So it was literally 300 something dealers of modern slabs.
Okay.
It was it
And a
was
lot of first time dealers or younger dealers and that kind of stuff too.
a lot of like newer dealers basically. So I feel like a lot of people that used to walk around and probably sell to dealers were set up.
That was my question. So I mean,
Yep.
isn't that the same thing though? I mean, instead of being foot traffic and walking around, these now are dealers buying and selling when they
But
previously were just customers buying and selling.
yeah, but when they come to your table, they could buy, but when they're just set up, they're literally on the mindset of selling.
Okay.
you know so, and they know they have overhead, so it becomes a different game. So but there's basically less foot traffic. But there was a lot of dealers that came to buy, and I know a lot of one of my table next to me, they literally didn't set up and just bought the whole weekend.
Wow.
So they literally so their business is running auctions on eBay, buying tons of stuff. They bought so much that they had to cancel their flight and literally drive everything home because they bought so much. So it was a
Wow.
good buying show. So that sometimes I have the same mentality that I go in buying, but it's also not a lot of super high end. So I'm a little pickier. I'm buying more high end, instead of just flip stuff.
So good
So
buying show without foot traffic. To me, if I'm listening to this, what that means is that you were able to get good deals from other
Fake
dealers,
dealers.
people who
Yes.
used to be just customers who are now setting up,
Yes. Hmm.
and you're buying from them, and other dealers are buying from them as well.
Yes. So yeah, so you if you walk around, you could definitely find a lot of good deals. It was a good show to walk around and buy. I know there were a lot of repack people that went there and bought great, and stuff like that. Uh, I won't say no foot traffic, but less. There was so they opened up another room because they were trying to accumulate all the dealers. So the first room was packed with people, the first Saturday, especially. The second room was a little tough. It took like maybe afternoon before those people start trickling in on the second room. So those were a little tough. And Sunday, a lot of people flew out already. I flew out early, and stuff like that. So, but it's a show that I will think about doing again if
Hmm.
if my mindset was buying. But if my mindset was selling, I might, just change your strategy a little.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're looking to sell, you don't have the foot traffic. I guess tell me if I'm wrong here. I'm listening to you, and it's just not a mindset I've been in. Right, I haven't set
Mm-hmm.
up at a card show since the '90s, so I've never been on that side of the table, for a long time. So I guess my question is, um, I listen to this and I think to myself, okay, maybe it's the hobby has changed, and the people who were consumers, the people who you previously were selling cards to as foot traffic, and you were
Mm-hmm.
expecting to sell. I'm using you as the overall dealer, right? Just not
Yeah.
just you specifically, but you,
No,
the
no, no. I
dealers
understand.
on
Mm-hmm.
your side of the table, were able to sell for full price to the folks walking in, the foot traffic,
Mm-hmm.
the actual
Mm-hmm.
customers. But now those customers they've put a different hat on. They've become semi dealers, and
Yep.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's because, and that maybe that's why you see so much dealer to dealer interaction, because they kind of have one pant leg on, one pant leg off. They're wearing
Mm-hmm.
one leg as a dealer, like I'm gonna have a
Yep.
table and I have overhead and I have to sell, but at the same time also still looking to make deals as a
Yep.
consumer as well. So it makes for a different kind of show. But then the
There
next
was
part is, do those guys then start selling cheaper? And that's why it's a good buying show. Because now they're like, all right, I have all this
yes,
inventory. I spent the last 2 years buying as a consumer. I gotta,
yes.
I gotta. All
So
right.
they're
So
learning that part of it because now their overhead and their time spent there too. They want to make sure they go home with some money, or at least more cards too, that they
yeah.
could sell in their local show because there are monthly shows there ran by the same promoter. Um, yeah, and another thing that I noticed on this show was a lot of people offering me $10,000, $20,000 card, trying to trade down for more liquid stuff.
Okay.
I mean, like National Treasure, like Scotty Barnes or Jalen Green that used to be 20, they drop a little because their team are not starting so strong. They're like maybe down to 18. That's a big drop within a few weeks. And the season just started, literally, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
so
people are
there's,
taking that 18, offering you that, and saying, hey, if you give me, X amount, what,
yeah, no,
18?
they're trading for like $4,000, $5,000 cards of Anthony Edward that are playing well, let's say. Kids that
Mhm.
are playing well, but cheaper cards. So
But in
they're
multitude. So you
interested
have
in,
to come up with $4,000 cards
yes.
in exchange for one of
Hmm.
their 18s. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
that also jives with, these guys are part collectors, part dealers. I mean,
yes,
as someone who
exactly.
doesn't have the network of potential customers built up yet,
Hmm.
you are in a better position to move a card that's eighteen thousand
Yeah.
dollars. They're probably in a better position to move a couple of $1,000 card as well. So it's kind of like the circle of life, right?
Yeah. And I mean, there are people that I spoke to a dealer that they're happy to do that all day long. They would rather have the good card, especially now when they don't have to shell out 25,000 to get RPA. And knowing that Anthony Edwards could get hot and it could become 40,000. Obviously, they think you need to know that what comfortable price you're willing to pay on an RPA. And to me, my comfortable price is around 10 to 20,000.
Mhm.
And if there are good players that I like that are in that ballpark, because when they have a good week or month, that card is easily 30,000. I'm not saying it's a good investment, but it's a good flip for those people that think they want to flip. Um, Sometimes I don't do that because I like to hold on to guys a little longer than a few weeks. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, it
Mhm.
jives with what you're saying. I mean, people people use these shows to get in and out of cards. And it's funny
Yep.
the way people react, like, hypothetically somebody was a Jordan Poole fan, but then a couple games into the season they were like, "Oh, I don't want as much Jordan Poole." You're able to
Yep.
kind of, get some
Yep.
Giannis for your Jordan Poole or
Yep.
get some, somebody else for
Mhm.
your cards. Not necessarily buy sell, but a little bit of trade, maybe cash and cards or however it works.
Perfect. Yeah, those are the perfect example because it's so funny. I had a cheaper Jordan $2,000 card autograph, and the guy is willing to trade me a $3,000 Jordan Pool black box 1 of 1 that has potential to be $5,000, but he
Mhm.
wants the safe $2,000 Jordan, rather than a card that could drop. But
Right.
I like those type of card because it has a potential to go up to 5,000. The Jordan
Yeah.
don't. So
Different type of risk, right? So
yeah.
let's take the risk off the table. You're like, all right, you know what? I don't have to sell this week or even this month,
Yep.
but this
Mhm.
card is one I'm going to take a gamble on at the $2,000 because you can't get it for that. You know what I
No,
mean? You can't get
exactly.
it for so.
No, no.
So
Hmm.
I mean that's it's a smart way of doing it. So what shows are coming up? What do we got in the shows in the future? And then we'll
Um,
let you talk Jalen Hurts. You'll tell me how wrong I am about Jalen Hurts. Talk about what do we got? What's next week?
this weekend is so there's two big show this weekend, Dallas or Boston. I debated on flying to Boston myself, and then the rest of my team do the Boston. I mean, I debated on going to Dallas, and the rest of my team staying in town for Boston. But I decided to I've been traveling too much, and I'm a little exhausted, so I might just stay and do Boston.
Okay. I mean,
Um,
I've heard the Dallas show getting a lot of promotion. I know a lot of people are
yep,
going there. I've never been myself.
I know.
Just
We're both
just
never been.
getting back from Virginia.
Yeah.
Where and I'm thinking about Philadelphia. In the first weekend of December as maybe the next one to go to because that's drivable.
Hmm.
So I could do that. But
Chicago
yeah,
too.
Chicago is the
Chicago
same
is
weekend.
coming up. No, no, no.
Oh,
Chicago is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks after. Middle of December, November, basically. That's the best Chicago show besides the National. Usually, a
okay.
spectacular show. Hmm.
Like leading up to Thanksgiving. That's
Yep.
cool. I mean, people
Hmm.
are spending now. People starting to look
Yeah.
for holiday gifts and that kind of stuff. So people are starting. It's start. Believe it or not, I mean, it's Halloween as we record this,
Yeah.
and I know my kids will go trick or treating, and tonight my daughter will start singing Christmas songs. It's just the way it works.
Yep. Right after
That's it.
Christmas light goes up.
That's it. I'll commute tomorrow, and people, the radio will have Mariah Carey. All I want for Christmas will be blasting already. November 1st. That's how it works. It's
I know
crazy
they
stuff.
used to be turkey during Thanksgiving. Now you got to move to Halloween. So
That's it. This is done. Forget about it. And yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I try not to decorate till after Thanksgiving. I try.
yeah,
They
I know.
really push for it, but it is what it is. So there's a lot of shows coming up. We'll talk next week about your we'll talk in 2 weeks about your Boston experience and wherever else you
Hmm.
go. Maybe you'll take some time off here and there. But Boston, assuming you're going to go to Boston, right? Let's just say
Yep.
your team. How do you prep for the Boston show differently than you prep for a Tennessee or the Chantilly show?
So Boston, I've learned through the years is they would rather spend 20 to 50 and spend a total of 500 than buying one 500 card.
Okay.
There's a lot of local collectors and stuff like that, but I don't know if it has changed too because there's a lot of things that change recently. So it's like a combination now of investment and local stuff. So I will bring a mixture of like retail and then a mixture of obviously whoever guy is hot right now.
I mean, I got to tell you, and maybe I'm just dumb, but the first thing I think of is I would be, if I'm a dealer, I probably would be bringing a lot of money with me, hoping that somebody in that area is walking in with a Brady that they just want to get out on. Brady's prices
That's
have come down a little bit, and that's the area where people have been holding and hoarding their Brady's.
that's very very possible. Except 3 or 4 of the strongest dealer in the country, people will go to them first. I mean, the odds of it walking to me, I will obviously, you have to bring cash to show. That's just gimme, as a big dealer. But 3 or 4, MC Sport, Mike Cans, and there's a bunch of them that are big Brady collectors. They're taking advantage of this now that Brady kind of dipped a little to probably buy a couple of contenders. I bet you there's going to be tons of people that will bring Brady autograph this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not guaranteed. I'm one of those people that will go buy unless it's a rare piece, because I think it will dip a little bit more. So
Brady's going to dip, but Jalen Hurts isn't. I mean,
that's
Brady's
how
got
the market is.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, and we can close it out because I don't want to keep you for too long. I mean, we talk about the shows, we can talk about some good stuff, but everybody wants to talk about Jalen Hurts because that's what we talked about 2 weeks ago. And you gave the magical, hey, once they get to 6-0, 7-0, this is kind of when you do it. I made a comparison to Kyler Murray recently, and people didn't like Aaron Judge because Judge has been around a little while. Jalen Hurts is still on the upswing of his career and the whole deal. I said Kyler Murray was a good example, and we could probably come up with a bunch of other quarterbacks who were hot out of the gate. But
Kyler Murray was the perfect example because it was his first or second year. Matt Ryan got hot too, and he went to 6-0 4 or 5 years back. Yeah, and then after he lost, it took a big dip. But Matt Ryan has been in the league for a while, so I understand that dip. But a prospect kid that looks really good, it could hold on a little, till the playoff, basically. So I had a big debate yesterday coming home from Nashville. Me, Chewy, and Siobhan. Oh my God, it was a debate that I didn't have time to at 10 o'clock. In the car, we're like some heated debate because I'm debating on running my black auto with Golden and stuff like that. I've been in talk with them the past month, So I almost decided on a yes. I was about to drop it off. And then my team is like, no. Siobhan said yes. Oh my God. After that card debate, I have no idea what to do, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll tell you my take, and I mean, you kind of already know it, but maybe you don't, right? So my take on it is there's definitely an avenue where his cards can still go up. And I mean, I was not by any means saying that his cards can't go up. Same thing when I said sell Aaron Judge. Obviously, at the time he had 60 home runs and almost a month left in the season, or a couple weeks left in the season. He could have went on a tear and hit 70, 75 home runs. He could have broken, Barry Bonds' record. And then he could have went into the playoffs and started mashing home runs and won the MVP of the World Series. And clearly his cards would have gone up from there. When I say sell, that doesn't mean his cards are guaranteed to go down. I try to do a balancing act, we call it risk management, right? Go ahead.
And I know that's what you were saying. I totally understood that. And you know what? Playing with house money is fun, to be honest with you. Instead of getting nervous, you wake up that if a Tua thing situation happened to Hurts, and it's a difference. I mean, I'm glad Tua is back now and he's actually playing well. But I'm just telling you, you're talking about $100,000, $200,000 now, of investment. So what's wrong with selling some of them? I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm in the stage that should I keep the big dog or sell the big dog and keep the small ones? Exactly.
So let's be clear. You're not selling all of them. And this is what I would tell people also, and I have told people over DMs, if you have a bunch, if you were smart enough to get in early, you are up. That doesn't mean sell all or keep all. You can, it's like everything else, right? You just went on a heater in blackjack. Take some of the chips off the table, put them in your pocket, send them over, cash out, and play, like you said, with house money. I mean, especially now where the market for the last year is down. Right? Market is down, and you see people who are performing. I mean, other than Josh Allen, right? You see like Patrick Mahomes, who has already won a Super Bowl, has already won an MVP, right?
And he's not up.
His cards are down because the market is down. If you manage to be right in this market and are up 100% on your cards, there's nothing wrong with taking that profit. Right? And you don't have to sell it all. If you have multiples, you still want to let it run, great. But I think if I were you, go ahead. Please.
I want to turn around and ask you that question.
Shoot.
So obviously I have some good ones, but my best one is the Prism Black Auto. So the Golden team is projected around 100 to 200,000. Okay. Or I have NT. I have like 2 NT, and obviously I sold my Kaboom, and then a couple of other golds that could be add up to like maybe 50 to 60,000. So should I sell the smaller ones and keep since I got the gold, the black at a decent price, because they could go legitly go 11-0 if you look at their schedule.
Oh,
To
easily. Look
me,
at the next three
yeah,
quarterbacks he's playing. Ending with like Sam
exactly.
Erlinger. They could
Yes.
definitely be 11-0. 100%.
Yeah. And then the Colts, and then they have, after that, it's the Packers and the
Yep.
Titans. Those are the two teams, and the Packers are not doing much right now, but Titans are legit, I think. So, well, without
It's a difficult matchup for them. It's exactly what teams
yes,
try to do to Mahomes, right? You're going to
exactly.
limit the amount of times you put Hurts out there to throw.
Yes.
You keep it close, and you let Derrick Henry run the ball. You let the defense do their thing. It's why Tennessee has been a tough matchup for Kansas City in the
Yes.
past.
Exactly. So if you submit the card right now in Golden, it will end around 3-4 weeks time, which is around the Packers time, basically, which legitly they could go 12-0. That momentum is so special in this hobby, in this market. When a team is going 10-0, the momentum is just more special. Sometimes it's more special than going into the playoff. And some people have never experienced that. A streak sometimes is bigger than the playoffs, just getting into the playoff. So I want to run it, but I'm not sure. What would you do?
Yeah, so I mean, you have basically what you're saying is I'm going to take the cards out of the equation. You have $100,000 card. I'm just going to be
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of cards that you could sell for approximately $60,000.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What I would tell you is this is very, very easy. You got to sell one, right? You have to
Okay.
sell one. So either sell the bunch and keep that one lottery ticket,
Mm-hmm.
or sell the one lottery, sell that one big 100 and keep the rest of them as your other lottery ticket.
Yep.
I think if I were you, and it's funny, if I were you, I would probably sell the smaller ones and keep the major lottery ticket, because you
Yep.
already started
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, you've already
Yep.
put that ball in motion by
Yep.
selling the
Mm-hmm.
Kaboom Gold, and
Yep.
you'll wind up now selling 50%. You'll wind up selling,
Yep.
$80 or $100,000 worth of stuff over time. You can take advantage of these wins as
Yep.
they come.
Exactly.
You can, get those into the market and hold your other one. But this is going to be really fun. You ready? I think
I know what you're gonna say, but
you have to flip a coin. I'm being dead serious. You have to flip a coin. Flip a coin. No, I'm being serious, because when it's in the air, I want you to call it. And so in the beginning, it's heads, I sell the black one of one. Tails, I sell the remainder. Heads, I sell. And when you flip it up there, I want you to call it out, and you'll know when it's in the air which one you actually want to happen. When it's a 50-50 toss-up like this, throw it up in the air. When you got to make the call, you'll know. Right now, you're like, you're having a horn. When you got to call it in that split second, you'll know. You'll say heads, boom, sell that one of one. You'll know which one you want to do. Honestly,
which one? Because the black right now, if I sell those things, it's free, and to me, I would rather keep the black, and because if he does win just by luck, everything is profit. Why not? So
and that card has
I'm
the chance to really
yes,
do it.
more than the rest, the smaller cards. So
I think you already knew this, which is when you started selling your Kaboom Gold. So I think you already knew which way you were going. So it's funny, Chewy and Siobhan, they can have their debate, but you already know what the answer is. The teacher is here. You got the kids in the back debating about the test. You have the answer, Kate. You know what's going on. But guys, this is the point. Like, I did not say, sell it all. Go sell it all, because you're right. There is still that chance. But the best part is, we're not dealing with somebody who went to a show last week and paid top dollar for all of these Jalen Hurts cards, and it's up a little bit. And I'm saying sell. I wouldn't be saying sell any of it, because you're in at a different price point. You got in. We talked about Jalen Hurts before the season. You got in early. This was one of the things you've spoken about on our show, right? About buying in the lead up to the season and then selling when they have some momentum. You do it in basketball, you do it in football, you do it in all the sports. And Hurts was the hit. But why? You have the exact right way of doing it, I think. Take some of that money, take some of that profit. And listen, as a dealer, the discussion is different, right? Because now, if you sell that $20,000 Jalen Hurts Kaboom Gold, you're sitting with that money at the show when somebody comes up and offers you a Scotty Barnes RPA that should have been 25 or 28, and you're able to buy it for 16.
How did you know that?
It's all this.
How did you know that? That's what I did with them. That is funny.
Everything. I know everything.
But that's exactly what happened, though. I used that Kaboom money to buy the Scotty Barnes, basically. So And
I
to
mean,
me,
and
whatever.
this is how you snowball things.
Yeah. And if you paid 4 grand for the kaboom, now you basically paid almost 4 grand for the Scotty Barnes. So
This is and people talk about,
mhm,
oh, the hobby is dead, positivity, negativity, you can't do anything in the hobby. Right. I'm not telling everybody to start operating kaboom golds and RPAs, right? But at another scale, this is the way you can do this stuff. If you happen to call the right thing, right?
yes.
You were right. And now you can buy some of the stuff that people might have gotten cold on too early.
Hmm.
Anybody who's too cold on Scotty Barnes 5 games into the season, that's
I
somebody who
know.
you want to scoop that up. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So you were, I believe. Go ahead.
They're a winning team. They could be a playoff team. So it's to me, it's you got to think and see where your finances first and foremost. Let's not put your kids' college tuition in it, but
Yeah,
you got to
exactly.
know yeah, it could be if you profit well. Now you got to put some back and try to invest some, obviously depending on your life situation, but it's smart to invest some and do your research, and then hopefully it keeps growing.
I think it's 100% right. You're making
Hmm.
moves in a sideways or down market, and still, I believe, doing well. Now we'll hope Scotty Barnes does well, and you can snowball that into something else.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I mean, listen, there's all these opportunities for this, right? I mean, Tua stuff is going back up.
Yeah.
Had you bought into Tua the week that he went out, all of a
Oh
sudden
no,
you're
so
able to, go
yeah.
ahead.
So actually, I was into Jalen Hurts and Tua was two of my guys that I bought a lot this off season. So
Mhm.
I have a couple of NT too, and and stuff like that. So before the injury, those two were in track to what I kind of wanted to do, So, but they're getting back into it, and I'm glad Tua is doing good, Not just stat wise. I'm talking about physically,
Of
and
course.
yeah,
And you need look, the NFL and the hobby need young quarterbacks to bank on. I
yep,
mean, people will think this is silly, but I'm pulling for Jalen Hurts, right? I know there are people who bought him this week, and I want those people to be able to make money on him too, right?
yeah,
Especially because if you look at the quarterbacks from last year that people were banking on, from
mm-hmm,
Zach Wilson to Mac Jones to Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence since 2021 is the worst against the spread quarterback in the game.
I
You know what I
know,
mean? Like
mm-hmm,
he just doesn't win, doesn't cover, doesn't do what he needs to do. And these were the guys like this was the big quarterback class,
yep,
right?
mm-hmm,
And you got Herbert not doing so hot on the Herbert
yep,
side. Let me ask you something, and this is one of the fun things that I try to explain to the people who came out of the woodwork on the Jalen Hurts thing. And I want we can end on this. We can talk about one more show we can do, but one of the things that I say people don't like when I say it is they always say, well, Hertz is not overvalued yet. Hertz is not at full value because if you look, he's still one half or one third of what Herbert is.
mm-hmm,
And my response, and tell me what you think about this, is when it's your guy, when you're the Hertz guy, you always assume that your card is 50% of the other guy. That means your card has that 50%, that it would be 100%, that room to
mm-hmm,
grow to catch
mm-hmm,
Herbert.
yep.
Nobody ever understands what happens more often is that
That a
Herbert
guy
comes
comes up.
down,
Yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
and maybe the guy goes up a little and they kind of meet there, but it's not, you can't just sit there and say, okay, well, the Herbert's 10 grand, my Hertz is 5. There's 5 grand for it to run because he's even playing better than Herbert. No, realize that Herbert's probably going to come down to your
Yep.
5 or maybe
Mm-hmm.
6, and yours goes up 1. I
Yeah.
don't know
So
why is
somewhere.
it? Is it the fandom? Is it just that it's our guy, so we never look at the other guy coming down?
No, I think people set a weird market the past 2 years, and I don't think we can't use that as a baseline. To me, Luca, I love Luca. Luca and Herbert, people just set a baseline where they're willing to pay. And then talent wise, if you look, I love Hurts because of the team. But if talent wise, skill wise, arm strength, I think Joe Burrow and Herbert are better than Hurts still.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think I'm putting Jalen Hurts in a pedestal, but he is a good leader. He's showing right now, and he
Of
could
course.
read blitz. He could read defense that I didn't see last year, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Escapability
it's
too that those other guys don't
yes,
exactly have. A little more
exactly.
mobile.
So, yes, so he's showing a lot more than I anticipated and even impressing me a little. But the team is also going all in right now. They're
Right.
literally surrounding him with talent. He could win this year. I'm not saying he will, but I think with all the team, Tampa Bay don't look good. Packers don't look good. Mahomes' team's still inconsistent. Certain
Right.
games they could score
Nobody's
50.
buying the Vikings or the Cowboys. Nobody's
No,
buying those teams
exactly.
yet. Or the
I
Giants.
actually, the Giants, yes. I never bought the Giants, but I actually think Cowboys could surprise a lot. I
Good
think,
defense.
yes, exactly. I love good defense team, and when it comes to the Super Bowl and the playoff, defense win. But Eagles are also making trades, and their defense are good also. That's
Mhm.
why I love Josh Allen, but I'm not 100% sure in their defense.
Okay. I mean, valid.
So, but
Definitely
we don't
valid.
know. So I think, so that's why I still want to keep my black probably.
See, we knew it. We solved the equation by the end of the show. So, one last thing, right? For anybody who might be going to Boston for the first time, or dealers who are listening to this, or headed to Boston, or I mean, you've never been to Dallas, who are setting up this week, what would you give as kind of like a little bit of advice? I mean, you've been doing these shows for a long time. Is it stock up on a whole showcase of Jason Tatum this time of year, or what? Like, what for Boston? What do you tell the folks?
Uh, and bring variety of stuff. It's like an odd show. They're a customer that's willing to buy Red Sox even though they didn't do well. But I think a lot of people will be asking for actually Jalen Brown and Tatum. They're all in type of type of fandom basically. So I think they'll be asking for those. If you don't like Mac Jones, bring some and probably move it right now since they are in an upward swing a little. But I'm not sold on Mac Jones. Um, it's a chance right now to sell. If I could sell, I have only a few good ones, but I'm debating on cutting my losses and selling them. To be honest with you, because I'm not sure. I don't. Yeah, I'm not fully sold on him. So I mean,
Got any
those are
Bailey Zappi
situations.
101s to unload while you're up there?
No,
Any?
Zopi, I don't have any. I never bought Zappy, and I'm not looking for Zappy. So if somebody gives me like, oh, you have some Mac Jones, can you want to trade for Zappy? I probably won't do it. So
It's actually a good call. I mean, listen, it's part of the
mhm.
equation, right? I mean, you're not
Yeah,
ready to sell and take all your profit on Jalen Hurts. You have more belief in him, and that goes into the equation. But Mac Jones, you've watched, and you said this is not the guy. I agree. By the way, I've been saying that since before he started playing.
mhm,
I don't own a Mac Jones. I never thought about buying a Mac Jones, but you're. I mean, the thought process here is valid, right? He just played, right?
mhm,
And he's got the starting rollback, so it's not
mhm.
zappy, zappy, zappy. And you're going to Boston. So if you're
Yep.
ever going to be able to, capitalize and sell for what would
This
be,
is the time.
full
This
price or
is
close
this
to
is
it,
the week. Yeah,
it's
Mac
the
Jones
time and the
beginning of the
show.
season was 15,000 and Hertz was 2,500.
15,000 to 2,500.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes,
Wow.
and Hertz right now is at 15,000. I mean, Mac Jones is down to below 10, but you could
So
see. So
that was 17%. You could buy six. You could buy six Hertz for every one Mac
yes,
Jones coming into the
yeah,
season.
it's
Wow.
crazy. So I'm like, I mean, why would you not pick some Hertz up? I'm just saying,
And,
but
and now Hertz is 15.
yes, and
So
more.
Hertz is, some of them are 6x, like the
Yes,
RPAs you're talking about, or like
yep,
which
yeah. I'm
ones?
talking about the NTRPAs and stuff like that. So,
NTRPAs.
but
6x on the money, and people are fighting me when I say sell and take some money off the table. All
because
right.
they think it could be 25x.
Well, I mean, I think it's more likely it could be 25. But what that means there is, the upside on it.
Yep.
If you bought it at 2,500, you've already got 600, 600, 600%. You've already gone 6x. You're holding on
You
for not
have
not another 2x,
when
less than
when
2x.
it comes to in 10 week 10, and if they are 10-0, you need to sell some. Nobody's gonna get hotter than that. You have to sell some and enjoy the rest of it, hold a few and enjoy your profit later.
So you've watched football for quite some time, right? You've seen
Hmm.
some juggernaut teams, right? The Bears with their defense in the 80s, the Dolphins in the 70s. I mean, you weren't alive for that one. But but and the Patriots recently. This team does not strike me as that type of a team. I think the league is worse, right? But this is not, no one's saying, wow, this team is the juggernaut. They're going to run through everybody. They're going to be undefeated.
Hmm.
I know the talk will keep going. We've had a lot of 7-0 teams, a lot of 8-0 teams, a lot of teams get there. But sometimes, losses happen. This is just the way the NFL is, the way the ball bounces, the way that,
Yep.
the penalties get called, one bad play, a couple turnovers, special teams, you name it. What I'm fearful of is what happens if they do lose sooner than later, because the Cards, it's like everything else. When you have that perfect
Yep.
trajectory, they
Hmm.
just do this, and then with the first speed bump, it's boom. It just,
Yep.
the way the hobby works, they just kind of crater. So
That's how football is. I mean, we can't predict. I used to not buy much into football as much as now. It's just everybody loves the gambling. I mean, I think that's what it ties into it. It's the big time gambling. People 10 years ago want the safer stuff. I mean,
yep.
basketball and baseball, besides pitcher, are safer investment. But now people love the football gambling. But I'm telling you, it's so volatile and scary. So,
Well, that's it. Listen, if you have the stomach for it, it's great. I
yep.
love the Boston idea of, if you got your Mac Jones, you're looking to get out, this is a time to get out.
Hmm.
And we'll check back in with you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll see what you've done with your Jalen Hurts, see if you've sold any more, or see whether he's 9-0 by then, or we'll see where we
Hopefully.
are, and we'll get some. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some. I mean,
Hmm.
I have no dog in that fight, right? I mean,
Hmm.
this is. I'm a Raider fan. They just got abused and embarrassed by New
I
Orleans
know
this
that was
weekend.
bad. Like,
They're just
I think
miserable.
it's good for the hobby to have a team that's going for this streak. So it's actually keeping. Usually, middle of the season football gets a little stale because
Mhm.
now we're focusing on the playoff team. But now this is actually keeping the hobby like consistently like going up a little, and it's dragging some of the other guys.
And you need takes like sell it now. The only guy who's undefeated, sell it now. Otherwise, I mean, if I'm not
Not
going to say it,
all,
who
not
is?
all. See, I have to
Don't
stand
sell
up
it
for the
all.
guys that
Don't
not,
don't
I'm
you
selling.
don't have.
Yeah, I'm standing up for some of the guys that don't want to sell it all.
Listen, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before a couple of times. Not often. I could be wrong. And I'm pulling for Jalen Hurts. I want to make sure everybody knows that. But even if I'm
Hmm.
wrong, I believe that on most cards that people are holding, the upside from here, unless everything breaks perfectly, the upside from here doesn't justify the downside risk. That's all I'm saying.
I,
Nice and
I
easy.
agree. I agree.
You will talk again in 2 weeks. This has been fun. Talk to you
Thank you,
soon.
James. Bye.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So, as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.